I will go to the mat if you think that Hispanic parents don't want their kids to succeed. That's not the case. It is the engaging part that is the problem. And I'm not quite sure that this gets over this. Perhaps your expert could help us.
Mr. Speaker, I think the purpose of that is this engagement, and I think your word is well taken. I had that done in my closing comments. That we're going to have to engage the parents, and you can engage the parents by sending a memorial out of here, I would imagine, and I don't know where it goes. When you send out a piece of legislation that really empowers them to their highest extent possible, and you really engage them by saying we're putting it in statute, I think that sends a whole lot different message than it does from a memorial saying we wish you would.
Mr. Speaker and gentlemen from Burley, and I appreciate that. And here we have an entire state school system that is not achieving to the level that we want. None of us want this. The fact that we have a minority-majority state and our minority-majority is not succeeding breaks my heart. But the fact that the rest of the students are also not succeeding is a terrific problem. And I'm looking at this piece of legislation. In fact, if you look at page 5 and 6, that's D, C, and I think there's a D. No, B and C. Everything listed, I believe we already do. Is that not correct?
Excuse me, ma'am. Can I ask you what purpose you're having recording this? Because usually we don't have cameras up here.
Why? The Hispanic enrollment data,
especially in a floor session. Because that's the rules we have.
Currently exists. Well,
you want to change the House rules, you got to find a bill.
Yeah, you know what, I was looking at just that. In fact, I went down to find something and I couldn't find anything.
Okay, well, I just need to find out why you're recording this. That's all I need to know.
I'm recording it for my husband.
Who is your husband?
My husband is my husband, Tom Bacon.
Tom Bacon? Okay, that's all I need to know, ma'am. Thank you.
But you know, I mean, that's the flip
side of our doing this.
Number one is
I know it's not your intention, I know that,
Full story.
but that's what the legislation actually says.
Well,
cameras in the
exactly.
state ask permission.
Right. That's all I want you to find out is how you got your permission and make sure it's been verified by our boss. That's all I want to know. That's what I'm going to ask you for what purpose and who you're doing it for.
But I mean, I'm just wanting to know if there is there a bill about it.
I don't know, ma'am. If you're interested in the bill,
I mean, I'm interested in everything you guys
Representative Arnold-Jones has a website right now going in. We have a camera already going on.
Yeah, that's streaming.
Yeah. But the point is that we'd like to know why you're recording.
My husband is at work all day, and he is not allowed to look at anything that is on the internet, so he can't go to the streaming.
Okay, but I just want to make sure that we have clearance on that fact, okay? That's all I need to know.
Yeah.
His name's Tom Bacon.
Yeah, and you know, when it's like a reciprocal thing, I'd like to know.
Is he a lobbyist?
Oh, heck no.
Okay.
He's a private businessman.
Okay.
But, you know, what you're talking about, I mean, it is about freedom of information, I guess, and what I want to know is where it's posted so that, you know, because it's kind of like I have to go through this every time.
Well, the point is it's like also invasion. We don't know who you are. We could say it could be a terrorist doing it. That's why I say, no, it's okay. We don't know. Cameras are just like,
Do you want to look over my camera?
No, I don't have to look over your camera. I'm taking you for your word.
I can't,
That's all I have to know is why you're doing it. And for
well, for instance, you're talking about that, but anybody in here could be carrying something in a briefcase, on their person, in their underwear.
Right. Sure. I'm sure there's other things, but see, you're very obvious because I can see the red light beaming down there. And I'm sitting there thinking, what is that lady up to? That's the reason why I was approached for that. Okay. Now, if it was flashing, you couldn't do this.
Oh, no, it's just interesting stuff.
Okay, but I just need to know a little bit of information why you're doing it and for who. Okay? Fair enough.
Yeah, thank you for the information.
And that this achievement gap is not worth noting.
Mr. Speaker and gentlemen from Burley, I think we're finally getting down to what really troubles me about this bill. You see, we have a bill. It goes into statute. it will be there forever, and it still carves out and says, only this group is important, but not everybody else. That part bothers me. The empowering part, however, is certainly vital, because I do believe that the legislature empowers in the normal way that we empower citizens, and we recognize what we're doing, and we create task forces with a memorial, not a statute. And that difference seems to nod me. And I, so far, nothing that you have said makes me feel any better about that. Do you have a thought on why a bill versus a memorial, and why it's more empowering?
Mr. Speaker, lady from Bernalillo, I think the answer is evident. You have a memorial, it's a memorial. It has no force of law. This particular piece of legislation, we're going to codify it, we're going to be there, and, you know, I think your answer is self-evident. The fact of the matter is, a memorial is a memorial. This is going to codify. These individuals are going to be meeting on a regular basis. They're not going to be paid. They're going to come because they have it in their heart and soul to do something about this achievement gap. And I think the most important part that you said, that we're segregating. Are we segregating, or are we putting a spotlight on something that is evident? Right now, we fail to do that. We fail to say, you know what, we have a high achievement gap right here. Hispanics are not doing well, but let's just pretend it's not there, because we don't want to address it that way. But you know what, when individuals, when the Hispanics do better, when this achievement gap narrows, not just the Hispanics are going to do better, everybody's going to do better.
Mr. Speaker and gentlemen from Bernalillo, and you're lucky this will probably be towards the end. I guess I am, again, troubled about putting this in statute, because we are still speaking for all the citizens of the state, and I think all the citizens of the state think that the education of all of our children is absolutely vital, and that our processes should ensure their success, that we should make sure that those doors are open and they can walk through to the success that they choose. And I think that is always an everybody issue. So I want to go back to, so maybe what really bothers me is that this is a bill and not a memorial, because we've had many, many very successful task forces created by memorial. And as those task forces, although short-lived, were so focused, so energized, that we did change things. And some that I can recall, we had an elections reform task force, we had an ethics task force, we've had a number that have actually looked at problems, and there's so many I can't even remember, that changed what we did and found the answer. So I guess maybe the part that's bothering me is we've put the cart before the horse. We are putting something in statute, and yet we're still seeking the information. And maybe that is what really bothers me about this.